the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
All right, y'all, we're here. We're a little late, but we're here. We're live, and you're watching Buster Unmasked. And tonight, we got one of the tip-top ladies in the professional wrestling business around our area with us. Look, let me tell you something. This lady is not only a pro wrestler, she's also a wife, she's a mother, and she's a career woman. She is a multi-time multitasker. So without any further ado, I bring to you the $1 Million Baby.
What's going on, Busty?
Baby, what's up, girl?
Not much. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. All this rain's finally starting to slow down a little bit. I know it kept you busy today, didn't it?
Oh, most definitely. Work's been crazy anyways, and I don't know. It's been a busy week, really.
Right, and what is it? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
There you go. Right, it's Wednesday. So look, you know, it's been a while since me and you've been together on here. You were on the very first bullshitting with Buster when I started doing it again. I had stopped doing it for about a year. You were the very first one back, and I feel like that kind of led us to where we are here. I feel like that kind of led into Buster Unmasked, but here's the deal. Back then, we were getting ready for your wedding.
We were?
So, we were getting ready for your wedding. You was getting prepared. Y'all, I mean, it was what, a month away from the wedding, I think, or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
So now you've been married a little over a year. Talk to me about, before we get into wrestling, talk to me about what it's like. Did life change at all for you guys once you got married, or was it just copacetic and the same?
Well, it was pretty much the same. We did everything together anyways, and we still do. Normally if there's a problem, we try to, talk it out and get it squared away instead of making out this big old argument over nothing. Because my thing is, you're going to have your opinion and I'm going to have mine. So we're never going to agree on it. So let's just talk it out and get through it,
Right.
But other than that, I mean, it's all been the same.
So look, like I said, you're not just a pro wrestler. Like I said, now you're a wife. You're a mother. You're a career woman. You have a job. You work every day. So talk to me about juggling all these things. That's what I said. You're a multitasker. Talk to me about how you handle all these different hats you have to wear, girl.
Okay, so basically, like, people live off calendars. Well, I'm not a calendar person. So during the week, like, my son plays baseball, my daughter plays softball, and then the weekends, thankfully, is normally wrestling weekends. And then, of course, I have a job basically 8 to 4:30. But I'm always on go. It's never like I just sit down and have a moment to myself because, even though like I go to work, there's stuff to be done at home when I get off work. Whether it be cook supper, do laundry, whatever, you name it, I got to do it. And thankfully, Brian does help out a lot. But I do all that. And then we do, my son plays baseball, so my daughter plays softball. Sometimes their games are at the same time in different locations.
Right.
Fun because I'm like, hey, can you do this while I go do that? And I have to explain to them, mama can't be everywhere at once. I wish I could, but I can't.
Right. And when them kids are little, it's easy, but as they start getting older and branching out, and like you said, playing sports and doing other things, man, it gets hectic in life. I don't see how you guys really, Brian's always busy too. I don't see how you guys do it all and then still wrestle every weekend. Sometimes if it's a Liberty Pro taping, sometimes you got to wrestle multiple times in one day.
Yeah, so normally for those though, we go up Friday night after work. We find a sitter if the kids are with us, and we go stay the night. That way, in the morning, it's not get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive 2 hours, but it's get up probably about, I don't know. We normally get up from 6:45 to 7:30 probably, and get dressed and just go 2-3 minutes up the road, which helps out a whole lot too.
Right. I seen a post you made. Y'all had a taping this past weekend, right?
We did. Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I want to say it was 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and your post said already wrestled 3 matches and more to go or something like that. So,
yeah, Saturday I wrestled 3 matches before probably 10 o'clock. And I mean, it was a 5-minute match, it was a 10-minute match, and a 20-minute match, or 15, one of the two.
And that's a lot. And then most of the time, did y'all did you have a show Saturday night you went to?
We actually did not have a show this Saturday night, this past Saturday night. It was my birthday, and we never get out of tapings early. So like, I was done at 1:30. I was super excited about that because that don't never happen, So I literally got done at 1:30. We hung around until about 3:30 because I was like, well, we got plenty of time to kill. I mean, we're just going to go home afterwards. So we stayed around till then. But thankfully, no, we got back. And then it's like when you get home, that's when the crash happens. So
Right.
it's like, oh, can I just go to bed? But yeah, we didn't have a show to go to, thankfully.
Right. Look, Jason Powell's here, and he says, hi to the baddest babe in the business. Talking about you, girl.
He's been, true story, Buster. He's been following me since I was 14 years old, and he bought my first ever customs match.
No kidding.
No kidding.
That's right. And here's the thing. Y'all have people that follow y'all. Brian, y'all have people that not only come to y'all shows, but they will follow if y'all are booked somewhere else. A lot of times these people, it's almost like a convoy or a caravan.
Yeah, they all a group and follow us around. Yeah.
And a lot of those people have seen you since you were a kid, have watched you grow up right in front of them.
Yeah, they sure have. It makes me feel old, but I guess it does make them feel old at the same sense. I don't know.
So look, here's a new wrinkle to the story. I said you are all these things, but you're also owner of a pro wrestling company. So, and here's the thing, around our area, there's not a lot of women who own pro wrestling companies, or maybe not any. To be honest with you, you may be the one around here. So talk to me about that, because you're not just a talent, you're not just a wrestler, you're also, I mean, you have a vested interest in Premier Pro Wrestling. It's y'all's company, it's y'all's baby. Talk to me about that side of it, what it's like for you to be on that end of the business instead of just being the wrestler and being the talent.
Well, thankfully, Brian always comes to me with some ideas, and we kind of put our heads together. Mostly it's him. I just give my opinion on it. But it's a lot different, just considering the fact that, like, you think, well, and I'm sure it probably does happen. Oh, well, she's the owner's, wife. That's what it's going to be, whatever. But
right.
At first, I was like, well, it ain't going to matter what I say because I'm a female and I know how some men are. But, I mean, they all respect me and I respect them. And I'm very thankful for all of them that came to our doors and worked for us. But normally, I mean, I don't really consider it any different. If I respect somebody, I just expect respect in return. And normally that's basically how the whole business thing works. People don't understand that. Like, a little bit goes a long ways. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but if I approach somebody with an attitude, they're going to have an attitude in return, and it's just going to be a big old attitude error show, I guess. But you know how it is. Like, I've never not been in a room where one person's attitude didn't rub off on somebody else. Like, if you walk in a room and somebody's got a bad attitude, 9 times out of 10, you walk out of that room with a bad attitude.
Right, and here's the thing about wrestling. You carry yourself with respect. You treat people with respect, and people respect that. It's as simple as that, man. That's the one thing I can say that I love about you is you always carry yourself in a professional manner. There's never any drama, never any back and forth with anything. You guys the whole company carries itself with a professional manner, and that goes a long way. And here's the thing. I mean, it's got to be harder on for a female, like you said. Nobody's going to listen to me because I'm a woman. Well, here's the thing. I think that a lot of that stigma is starting to go away because, man, you ladies are out here killing it. You ladies are out here putting on some of the main event matches at these shows everywhere now across the world.
Most definitely, yeah.
And here's
a lot since I was growing up in the business.
Well, I want to talk to you about that, man. We're not going to rehash all the things we did on Bullshit with Buster. But look, Mark McGee is with us. He said, good evening, y'all. Mark, I'm glad to have you with us, dude. I appreciate you tuning in. The one thing I don't think we ever discussed on the original Bullshitting with Buster was how you got the name the $1 Million Baby.
Okay, so
what was it they originally started calling you?
Twinkie.
Twinkie, okay. So how did you go from Twinkie to the $1 Million Baby?
All right, so first we'll just initiate on how I got the name Twinkie. So we came to a wrestling show. It was when Trenton first literally opened up. We used to go to their shows every Saturday, and Big Boy Bob and Leroy, you know who I'm talking about? I don't know. Some of you may, some of you don't. Well, they were the bigger guys, and they were the bad guys, of course. So I had a friend that used to go with me all the time, and we used to just call them names and stuff. Well, one weekend, we're like, we're going to take them some Twinkies because it was just a ho-ho joke, you know? So we took a box of Twinkies. Well, then time passed by, and then I started training to be a referee. And then when it was time to start training to be a wrestler, and then me coming out with a wrestling name, and I was like, I don't know, like, how do you know what your name's supposed to be? So they're like, well, we'll just call you Twinkie. And I was like, well, that was odd. Where'd that come from? And they're like, you know, that one time you gave the wrestlers Twinkies? And I was like, oh, okay. So just FYI, whatever you do, it always follows you.
there you go. That's how it happens, man. You never know what's going to stick. You never know what's going to stick for a while. So
then, I mean, I wrestled under that for years, I felt like. And then I wanted to change. I'm no longer Twinkie. Like, that's not who I am anymore. Like, I've grown. I'm not that same little girl, Twinkie, you know? So, Black Widow, I don't know if you know who that is. She used to wrestle.
I do.
Okay, she used to wrestle with us. Heck, me and her used to wrestle like me and Autumn do nowadays back then. She's like, well, I know a good name for you. And I was like, she's like, what are you going after? And she's like, you're not really the girly girl, but you're not really the tomboy. So originally, $1 Million Baby formed from the movie. My mentality and mindset was just like hers. Like, no matter how many times you get knocked down, you're going to get right back up. And she was just like,
right.
I mean, I'm a tomboy. I like the girly girl stuff, but I also like to get my hands dirty, and I like to do guy stuff. Apparently, I wrestle, you know? So that's transformed from. And then, like, I liked all the shiny and the bling, so it just stuck with me.
Right. Look, Barbecue Man's with us, and he says, she'll always be Twinkie to me. I love her and her whole family, JJ.
I love JJ. He's watched me since I first started out, too.
Right, and like you said, you started out as a referee, so you've kind of, it wasn't like you started and trained and just started in the ring as a wrestler. I mean, you were broke in a little different. Started as a referee. Talk to me about what it was like being a female referee, especially at that time,
Um,
and being before. Is this before Twinkie, or were you a referee?
I was a referee Twinkie.
Okay, so talk to me about being a referee. A matter of fact, how old were you when you refereed your first match?
I probably refereed for about a year, so I'm gonna probably say 13.
So talk to me about being 13 years old. Your name is Twinkie, and you're refereeing in the ring with all these big guys bouncing each other around. Talk to me about that.
It was very intimidating because, I mean, I'm still little, but I was a lot littler back then. But I got to see wrestling from a different point of view. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Like being a wrestler, you see it from a different point, but I think actually understanding wrestling and being able to see it on a different level, I feel like referee is what gave me that. So like when people are like, "You used to referee," and I'm like, "Yeah," and I loved it. Like I learned so much psychology wise. Like I learned it all from refereeing, and then I learned like being able to walk into a locker room and being able to read people, which I'm a person reader anyways. Like if I walk in a room and I feel sick to my stomach or just get that feeling,
Right.
I automatically know like this isn't the place for me. I shouldn't be here, or just to remove myself from the situation. But it was definitely a learning experience. And now, like the first few matches I did, I was very nervous, and I was just like, "Is this even believable? Like little old me with these guys in here?" Like, but I made it through it for sure.
Right. Look, Raymond C. Pat's with us. He says, "Good evening, y'all, all the way from Phillipsburg, New Jersey." Raymond, I appreciate you watching, man. I appreciate you tuning in, dude, and I hope you love the show. So, here's the thing. Starting out as a referee, like you said, that's as a wrestler, you're in the moment. But as a referee, even though you're in there refereeing, you're kind of outside the wrestler box. So you see things, you pick up on things that the wrestlers themselves may not even pick up on as a referee. And it is a great tool for, I think most, if not all, most aspiring wrestlers should start out refereeing, because it kind of, first of all, it gets you comfortable in the ring.
And
Just being in there.
definitely, and it opens your mind and your eyes to a lot of things that you don't see. Like
Right.
as a wrestler, like I don't think I would see the things I've seen if it wasn't for me being a referee.
Right. I agree 100%, man. It's a underutilized tool for training wrestlers. But here's the thing: a lot of wrestlers want to train, and if you tell them they're going to start out as a referee, they don't want to do that. They don't like it. But I mean, if they realize the advantage, it would help if they refereed 5 or 6 months or a year. Man, it makes all the difference in the world in your comfortability in the ring and your confidence.
Yes, and you'll actually know your placement. I mean, I don't know.
Right. It's and like you said, it's all psychology anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Every bit of pro wrestling is psychology, or it should be, is my opinion. Well, look, girl, we discussed you're a mother, and as you can see, some of the artwork up here, you can't see the big one behind us, but one of your kids actually drawed this. So talk to me about this, man. When I was going through, you know how I build these things, I had to go through Facebook and scavenge. Mm-hmm. And man, I was looking for something, and I couldn't find nothing that really gelled this time. And then when I ran across this again, I thought, man, this is it, man. Talk to me about, because this ain't her only artwork, man. Does some amazing drawings.
Yeah. I don't know. She wanted an iPad for Christmas last year, and she's like, "I just want it, and I want the Apple Pen." That's what it was. I want the Apple Pen, and I was like, "Okay." Well, remind you, she's always making something out of paper or drawing on something. Like one day she came in here and she's like, "Look what I made," and she literally made a paper sword, and it had a case to it. And I was like, "We made like little I don't even know what they fidget spinners and stuff with paper. But I was like, I would have never thought to make, swords out of paper, but it just blew my mind. But she likes to do all the creative stuff. I guess it keeps her mind busy. Because I would say she gets bored easy because sometimes she does, and then she's like, Mom, Mom, Mom. But she came to me one day and she originally drew a family picture. And she's like, now I need some wrestlers. And I was like, well, who do you want to draw? So she started out drawing. I don't even know who was her first one that she did. Was it Hornswoggle, maybe?
I think so.
I think it was Hornswoggle because he was coming to a show. Well, her goal was to draw Hornswoggle, and she was going to take it to him, and she was going to get it signed. Well, she did. And then I had some other wrestlers like, hey, will she draw me? Will she draw me? And she loved it, and she loved to show it off. So, and then, like I said, one day she came and she's like, I want to draw you in T-Pain. And I was like, okay. And then she came, yes, and I was like, that's really good.
It is. My daughter's the same way, man. She is a craft freak. She her whole life, she's somewhat of an artist too. She can draw and stuff, but she's all the time making crafts. All kind of stuff I don't even see how she makes most of the time.
Yeah, that's how I am with her. I'm like, where do you come? Like, why would you even think of this? And then they call her the entrepreneur at school because that girl is looking to make $1.
Man, look, when I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, probably 3rd grade, and I started selling cinnamon toothpicks. I want to say they was 2 cents a piece or 3 for a nickel. So I started making some regular ones, and I figured out I made some double hot ones, and then some triple hot ones, and sold them for different prices. And I was, look, for a little kid, sometimes I'd come home with $3 and 2-cent cinnamon sticks, toothpicks, and I'm in the cafeteria one day, and the teacher comes over to me because I ain't thinking nothing about it. It's cinnamon. I'm putting them in a baggie. So I'm pulling out this baggie and unrolling them, which they knew they were cinnamon toothpicks, but now thinking back on it, I think, man, it had to be weird, but they made me quit selling them.
Oh, yeah, because they're missing out on $1. That's what that is. Because, okay, so you know how, like, I don't know, there were these bracelets that became a big thing for the little girls? Well, she was making them, and, I mean, her and some friends then got together, and she was the boss, apparently, and they were going to go around selling them. Well, prior to that, a girl done got in trouble and said she couldn't sell them at school. Like, it was a big ordeal. And I was like, when I was in school, we sold pieces of gum? I was like, she's like, but you're not allowed to have gum. I was like, oh, but it was like gold.
Really, man, really. Look, the Joe Panther variety show's with us. He says, hey, I just subscribed, Joe. I appreciate it, man. He came back and he says, Joe Panther, $1 Million Baby is awesome.
Thank you.
Girl, look, I graduated from cinnamon toothpicks, and I had one of the first dual cassette stereos where you could take one cassette and put it over here and then dub another one. Man, I actually made a killing off of those, man. And you know what I did? I did the Columbia House for a penny. I ordered all these tapes, all these albums for a penny, these cassettes, man, and then I dubbed them off. I bet you I probably made $1,000 selling tapes to people.
Oh, wow. So I had these, I don't know if you've seen them. They're like the $1 Million Baby trading cards. Well,
I hadn't seen them.
Okay, well, my daughter wanted one. And I thought it was just for her to put up. Well, apparently she took it to school. Well, she comes home that afternoon. She's like, I made $20 today off of you. And I was like, well.
Hey, like, where's my 10% at least, you know? Look, Joe Panther's back, girl, and he says you were on his podcast back in the day, Dudes at Ringside. I
was. Mm-hmm.
How old was you then?
Oh, well, I think it might have been a year or two ago, actually.
Okay. So look, I also said you work for multiple companies and you're a multiple time women's champion across several companies. So let's kind of rehash a little bit of that so that the fans who hadn't seen the original one kind of talk to me about the different companies you've worked for and the different titles you've held.
I've worked for TIWF, CCW, EPW, which is in Booneville, CCW's in Cape Girardeau. Mark Manley's show is at AHCW.
AHCW.
Worked for the New Bern when it was running. Let's see. I feel like I'm missing some. Liberty Pro, of course, and Premier Pro, which now I don't have any belt besides I am a tag team champion with Little Bit at Liberty Pro. We've held on to them for a long time at this point. Yeah, that's probably about it. More I can think. I'm trying to like take the road map, but
well, look, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but since you brought it up, when we did the last Premier Pro show, to plug the last show y'all did, we had a big debate on the three-way dance women's ladder match.
I mean, did you finish, Buster?
Did I what, girl? I missed it.
Did you see the finish?
Girl, I have not yet. There's been so much going on. I'm really behind on watching wrestling, period, right now. I'm behind on everything. But talk to me about it and take me through what actually went down.
Okay. Well, we'll just talk about the ending because that's probably the biggest storyteller right there. So I hit the code breaker on Ellie. On Ellie. And Maddie hit something on her. I go up to climb up the ladder. Well, in the mix, Maddie is falling up behind me. Well, I get halfway up the ladder and she's literally right behind me. And I give her a big elbow. Boom. She falls off into the referee. So the referee's knocked out. Well, I get up to the very top, undo the belt, climb all the way back down. Guess who meets me? Ellie does. So she shoves my face into the ladder. Boom. And basically grabbed the ref to show that she got the belt down, and there's your winner. Imagine.
Well, look, that's the thing. Anytime there's more than two people in the ring, in a triple threat, man, it triples the chaos. You got to keep your eyes on both opponents at the same time, and it's hard. But was it your first ladder match?
No, it was my second or third. I've done one at TIWF before.
Okay, well, talk to me about being in the ladder match, and talk to me about working with that ladder, because it can be dangerous. It is dangerous.
So we had a smaller ladder. I don't know how. I'm not good at height. I'm not a man, so I don't use ones. I don't know. We had a smaller ladder, and we used that most of the time. But anytime the ladder was up, you got to be careful if somebody was to fall or something, because in a ring, it's not really just always flat and balanced.
Right.
Going on over here, the ladder could fall, boom, whatever, have a big old mess. So you had to be very cautious about that. Now, when it's time to go get the big ladder, which the big ladder was one that the fire department uses. Well, we probably climb houses with this ladder. So, and I was like, it was funny because before we did the ladder match, I was like, I might be scared of heights. I'm not really, because I saw him put the belt up, and I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know about that. And then just thinking, like, having to climb the whole ladder on the mat, like, knowing it was going to be shaky, rocky, like anything could happen. Oh yeah, I was definitely very nervous, but like I said, you just have to watch and be careful of your surroundings to be able to protect yourself.
Right, man. The one thing that I had to learn when I first few times I ever worked with a ladder, when you pick it up, and if you're going to use it and hit somebody with it, man, you got to watch your fingers, because you'll mush them in between the rails. Man, the first ladder match I ever had, man, time I got through, I was about to cry. My fingers, my whole hands were eat up, man. I probably 5 or 6 times mushed them during the first time ever. And man, it hurt so bad. And that's something you got to learn about a ladder, man. It's a dangerous match anyway.
It is.
And like you said, I might be afraid of heights. That's a bad time to figure out you're afraid of heights, right?
Yeah, because, like, I don't know, they were putting it up there, and I was like, well, that can't be that bad. Because I'm going to tell you something. My grandpa, God rest his soul, when me and my brother were younger, he used to like for us to climb on top of his roof and clean out his gutters. Well, I'll never forget. One time it was thunder and lightning from a distance, and it was time to come off the roof. Well, he's like, just jump off. I'm not giving you the ladder to climb down. And, being like, I don't even know how old I was. I just remember sitting there like, So I kept telling my brother, you're going to jump, and I'm just going to follow you. Well, nope, he wasn't going to jump. So I was like, well, and my grandpa was like, lightning's going to strike you if you don't get down. So it was like one of those things where it's either you're going to jump or you're just going to get wet. Probably something else could happen. So at that point, I learned to jump. But it reminded me of something like that, because when I was climbing that ladder, I'm like, and then I get to the top, and then once you get the belt, down, you're like, oh crap, go down.
Right. So look, Jason Powell's back with us, and he said $1 Million Baby forgot working with MLOW Customs.
Yes. So yeah, prior to Daryl used to own MLOW, and then somebody else came in and bought him out at that point. And I wrestled there for a little while, and then that kind of flaked off, and then I went back to Daryl. Yeah.
Well, what'd you say, girl? I missed it.
That's when I started, when I was 14. Yep.
So let's talk about Liberty Pro for a second, because Daryl's put it out again. I think it's September or October that he's done.
Yeah, he's just I don't really know what's all going to transpire, what's going to happen there. I know that there's a taping every month leading up to September, and there is a big September taping. And I know after taping's done that the website will be up, so there's plenty of downloads on there. I think there's like over 1,000, maybe even like 1,500 downloads.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's going to be up for a while, and who knows, it may be up forever. I mean, you just never really know. And I don't know what's to happen afterwards. Now, I mean, I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Right. I'll be honest with you. I was leery of customs because I never had any experience with it until till I came back and meeting you guys and kind of getting the inside idea of what it's really about, because people think one thing, but Liberty Pro's something totally different, man. I've said it myself. I always felt like Liberty Pro should run a couple of real shows. Like I told y'all last time, man, when you look at those posters, man, them would be shows you could put at the casinos around here.
We actually, when it was MLOW, so let me just take you back a little bit. So 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old me, I have wrestled with Jazz. Like I said, that was when I was, in that young age group spot. She came into Liberty before, and she used to always walk through the door. She's like, my $1 million baby's here. Like, it was just, she made me feel welcomed, I guess, even though like I was this youngin'. Here was she, she thought the world of me, and she told me that. But I got to wrestle with her. We did a house show one time. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was down at the TIWF building years ago. It's weird saying years ago. But it was back at the TIWF building years ago, and I actually got to wrestle Robbie Rage. I don't know if you know who that is.
I know who it is.
Okay. I got to wrestle her, and we were actually putting a hardcore match. Like, I was out of my comfort zone, and I was like, she's old school. Like, she's old school. But I also got to have Joyce Grable as my manager.
Oh, wow.
So I that was probably one of the big highlights for me when I was young. And when I turned I was 17 years old. I got a call from a girl that used to wrestle with all the time. Her name was Veronica Fairchild. And she's like, hey, I got a show in Nashville. I need an opponent. I mentioned your name. It's for Jada Lawler. Let's go. And I was like, well, I'm underage. I got to ask my parents first to make sure it's okay. Well, we struck out and went to Nashville. That was probably one of the first shows I ever wrestled in 1,000+ audience. Like, that feeling was so unreal. Like, it was probably the best feeling in the world. And we actually aired on the Nashville news that night. The forecast guy, he was our referee. Like, I never expected that to happen at a young age. I probably did miss out on a lot of opportunities being young.
Right.
I don't know. I was young.
Well, talk to me about that. Like you just said, first time you wrestled in front of probably 1,000 people or more. Talk to me about that, going from, There could be, on a normal show around here, there could be 75 people in the audience or 300.
Right.
Going from that to 1,000 is a big jump. Talk to me about walking out in front of that many people.
So literally before the match, well, when I got there, you know, it's just me back there. Like my parents stayed out front. That was just, you know, my dad knew how it worked. It was a respect thing. Like that's just how it was. And I mean, that's how it was back then. Like the only people go to the back is the wrestlers.
Right.
Nobody goes back there with you. But my parents trusted Veronica. Her name was Veronica Fairchild. And she told my parents, "I'll take good care of her. You ain't got nothing to worry about." Blah 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 blah. Very professional show, anyways. Before we go out and after I get dressed, she's like, "Hey, we got to go in somebody's office. I need you to meet them." And I was like, "Okay." You don't never know what's around the corner. Well,
right.
That's the first time in person as a wrestler I met Jerry Lawler. Like
I was just fixing to ask you that if you actually, what it was like to actually that go from these little shows to being on the show with Jerry Lawler, and then did you get to meet him? So talk to me about meeting Jerry Lawler for the first time.
We get in there. She at the time she was fixing to retire because she was going to go have a baby, or she wanted to have a baby. And so he was a little disappointed in her, and he told her, he's like, "You know, I was disappointed in you, but since you've brought her in here, you've brought my hopes back up." So I guess for him, that was a good reaction. It was nerve-wracking. Like, is this really Jerry Lawler right now? Like, what's going on? Like, I didn't know what to think, really. I mean, I was about 15, 16 years old. I had no clue how to feel, and I was just kind of speechless at first. And he's like, "I can't wait to watch you wrestle." And I was like, "Thank you." And then, so we do our match or whatever, go out. Like, she goes out first because she's the bad guy. Well, I was like, they hate her out there. Like, they hated her. And I was like, I hope they love me since they hate her so bad. And I mean, I had a like pink sparkly, like I was very well covered, which anybody that knows me, I don't like to show off my body like that.
Right.
I don't know. I'm one of those ones, like if I respect myself, everybody else will respect me too.
Right.
Different. And I'm not judging nobody. Like,
well, that goes back to how you carry yourself.
yeah, that's me. So I had like a pink sparkly top on, and at this point I wrestled in pants. They were just, I don't know what kind of, they were like spandex pants. I don't really know. They looked like wrestling material. I don't know. She's the one that was like, "Hey, take these, use these." She's like, "It'll be perfect." But when I went out and I walked through that curtain, it was like I almost wanted to faint because it was so loud. And then your heart's like pumping out of your chest. Like I'm breaking out in the sweat. Remind you, there's still several folks in this building. And like, I was like, "Oh crap." And then it was just like that switch turned on. Like if you're a wrestler, you know, like when you walk up that curtain, it's just like a light switch. Boom. You don't have like, people are scared to public speak. I guess that would be a good example. It wasn't like you were just that person in front of people. It just like, it was just you and the person you were fixing to wrestle. Like, but that was probably one of my favorite experiences. And then later on down the road, I went to, I can't even think of his name. It's a place in Arkansas. The Gary Valiant Arena.
In Tuckerman,
Arkansas.
Tuckerman.
I don't really remember my age at that point. I may have still been a little young. I actually went with Little Bit, Jason, Nikki Lane, and Austin Lane. They invited me to go to the show, which at this point, me and Little Bit were doing a big old feud everywhere. I don't know if you've dug into that or have seen or heard anything about that.
Yeah, I know. You guys got a lot of history. Y'all are partners now, but y'all had a lot of history, a lot of water under the bridge over the years.
So they invited me to go to Tuckerman, Arkansas. Well, hey, that arena was packed. It was probably the next closest thing to 1,000. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is so awesome." And then once you're in a crowd in front of that, that's what you strive for. Like, let me go out in front of 1,000 people, or even at that point, probably like 700 or plus, you know, it's just a different, which that's what I tell everybody. I was like, whether there is only 40 in the crowd or if there's 1,000 plus, you should go out there every time and perform like there's 1,000 in that crowd. Like you should. I mean, you're a performer.
And most wrestlers do. Once you get out there and it starts, there could be one person in the crowd. There could be one person sitting there, and once you're going, I mean, most wrestlers get into it. They treat it just like there could be 5,000 there, or
Yeah.
like you said, they should. So let me ask you this: the match with Lawler in Nashville, was it at the fairgrounds?
No, it was not. I really couldn't remember where exactly it was at. It was in this big auditorium. That's all I know. It was in downtown, and I'm talking about this place was huge. It was not. It wasn't at the fairgrounds. I just can't remember what place it was. It was definitely a big auditorium, and
Right.
they had like the old school wooden bleachers.
Are you sure it wasn't the fairgrounds? Because that describes the fairgrounds to the T.
It might be. I don't know.
But
it was. It was a big old building. It did have the wood bleachers on there, so it might have been. I don't know.
were the dressing rooms kind of positioned in each corner, caddy corner?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Literally, it opened out like it was like a stage, and it opened out, and then like behind the stage was like office room.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Like
yeah.
A lot better backstage than it was out front of the stage.
Right. Yeah, the Nashville, the fairgrounds, man, there's been some of the most historic wrestling matches in wrestling history around our area there, man. It was a cool place. I think it's been tore down now.
Speaking of historical, this past weekend at Liberty Pro, we actually had a man versus man match for the first time in history. You said that, and that reminded me of that. Like, out of all the years I've done custom and Daryl's done customs, there's never been a man versus man match.
And I see, that's the thing, man. Daryl and them do customs at a whole different level than a lot of other places that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, here's the thing: there's not a lot of money out here for pro wrestlers at normal shows, but that gives you guys who get to go work those shows an opportunity to supplement your wrestling income, because I mean, you guys make a little money doing customs.
Oh yeah.
Make more than you do out here running regular shows on Friday and Saturday nights, you know. And I think it's a good thing. And you know, always some of the top lady talent from all over the world. And that's my next question. You've wrestled, you've been around and wrestled all these different ladies. First of all, who's some of the favorite ladies that you've ever met in pro wrestling?
So Crazy Mary Dobson. That's what her name used to be out on the independent scene. Avala, I don't know how to say it. She came out with the Viking Warriors. You know what I mean? Okay, we used to wrestle together at Daryl's the first time he ran customs, and she is hilarious. When I tell you she's hilarious, she is hilarious. Like, I used to always love wrestling her.
Sarah Logan, that was what she was when she was with the Riot Squad.
Athena, that's on ROH, AEW.
Right.
Used to come in a lot. She was top notch too.
Amber Moon, and she was Amber Moon in the WWE.
I don't know if you know. Have you heard of Claudia Del Solis?
Yes.
She's one of my favorites. Sweet as can be. Which, like I said, I've wrestled. There's been a couple that come from like England. We wrestle from people like literally everywhere, all over, especially the States. Like, it's really fun and really cool. You get to meet all kinds of people, and everybody's wrestling is different.
Right.
So you learn new things, and you learn to adjust to those things. I don't know if you've seen this. It's popped up on Memories a couple times. Jordan Grace. Me and her
yes.
a couple of times back at Daryl's again. That's probably when it was MLW. I don't know. She wanted to take a picture with me one day. She's like, "You're going to be badass one day." And we're the same age. Well, turns out she was the badass.
Hey, that girl's come a long way. She was in Osceola, Arkansas. It's probably been 15 years ago. Nothing like she is now. I mean, she has totally had a transformation, like you say, of, man, you wouldn't even know that. If you put them side by side, you would not know that the Jordan Grace of today was that Jordan Grace, was the same girl.
Was because like I look different, of course, but she has transformed so much. Like it's a total different person. Like that's the younger version of her. But yeah, definitely.
So, talk to me about some of your favorite opponents.
Mm.
Let me hold on. Before we go there, let me make this maybe a little easier. Some of your most hated opponents. Some of the opponents that you've had your toughest matches with and your biggest feuds.
Biggest feuds is gonna be a little bit Autumn, Nikki Victory. I don't know if you know who that is.
I've heard the name.
Let's see. I'm trying to think here. We're gonna just say with like the toughest opponents is probably like Claudia, Skylar Slice, definitely Dream Girl Ellie. I don't really know, but about that.
So, Dream Girl Ellie, she is now the current Premier Pro women's champion. So, talk to me about. I know you want your shot back, and I know you got your eyes. You want that title back. Talk to me about if you could have your dream match with any dream stipulation with Dream Girl Ellie, what would that match be?
Um, I'm probably gonna say a submission match.
I like it. I like that. I like that. That's I see that as
The brain there, you know, whether it be me or her, somebody's gotta use their brain on that one.
right. I like that, and I like adding a Iron Man submission match or an Iron Woman. Maybe put a 30-minute time limit on it.
Oh yeah.
And let y'all go. Look, Eric J's with us, and I know y'all know Eric J. He's like family. Hey, Buster and baby, how y'all doing? What's up, Eric, man?
Eric.
Glad you tuning in, man, with us. We doing what we always do, dude.
Doing what we always do.
So let me ask you this. Now, I've seen you on EPW a time or two, and the times I seen you on there, you were a bad girl. So let's go back, because I know you most as the girl next door, always the good girl, always the baby face. Has $1 Million Baby ever had a stint as a bad guy or a bad girl?
I have. So I started out as the bad guy.
Ah.
And it lasted for quite a few years. I remember one time going to a wrestling show. I did this is probably something a lot of people don't know. Jessica Andrews. She used to wrestle back in the day as well. She don't no longer wrestle anymore. Me and her used to do like the beautiful people gimmick. Yeah, they hated us. I remember one time we were at a show and we went around the ring. And when I turned a corner, a woman done swung on me and it done went south. And then I had another spot where she was getting heat with somebody, and Lord, the woman then grabbed her like right here, started digging her nails into her, and I just had to turn around and just whop her, hit her, and I was like, you can't be doing that, like, nuh-uh. Like, so, and then I've had plenty of times where I've had to get like my bag and stuff and go straight to my car and just either ride in my gear home or we just going. I don't know what it is, and I don't say anything out of the way. I guess it was just the way I carried myself.
See, here's the thing. I'm assuming you were still underage when this woman swung on you, more than likely.
But
right. She probably didn't even know that. She probably didn't know you were a kid. But hey, wrestling fans are wild, man.
I've seen them all. I promise I have. And I mean, I love being a good guy. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, but there's people that's a little too friendly.
So let me ask you this: what do you like best? Did you like heel or do you like babyface best?
I don't know. I'm probably more of an in between because I mean I love being a good guy because I'm a social butterfly anyways to certain people. I'm just not the touching person. Like that's what probably drives me the most crazy is because they all want hugs. They all they just want to touch on you. That's probably
Right.
my part about being a baby face. But and then being the bad guy, I'll never forget. And my heart hurt so bad because I have such a big heart. I was arguing with this little girl and I said something mean to her apparently. And like when I looked back at her, she was bawling her eyes out. And I was like, and I mean, she was probably like 6 or 7 years old. Like I felt so bad for making that little kid cry. And everybody's like, oh, just come on. It's okay. And I was like, no, it's not. Not really.
So I mean, really, from what I know about you, you're a good guy at heart. I believe that's just your personality. But man, I 100% am dying to see a heel $1 million baby. Man, I want to see it. I just feel like I can see it in you. I can see, like you said, you didn't really say nothing, but you got all this heat. I can see that in you, man, and I'm dying to see the difference in $1 million baby as the girl next door baby face or $1 million baby as this bad girl over here heel.
Actually at Liberty, most of the time I'm the bad guy.
See, I don't never see none of those matches. But
It's funny because Daryl used to always say, I'm going to push you to be the bad guy. Like, I'm going to bring out the meanest in you. And he probably has, actually.
So let me ask you this. Do you think starting out as a bad guy helped you when you made the switch?
Yes. But it also helped me understand wrestling a little bit better, too, being the bad guy. Psychology. Because when I was coming up in the business, old school mentality, your bad guy has control of the match.
Leads the match. Your heel leads the match.
And I mean, it made so much sense going forward and taking those steps to higher places. And I still look back on that. I'm like, if it wasn't for me being the bad guy, I probably wouldn't know this. Or if it wasn't me being the referee, it probably wouldn't make any sense. But problem in wrestling anyways is people get caught up in wrestling in real life. And that's where problems come from.
So look, girl, let me ask you this. If you could bring in one dream lady to Premier Pro Wrestling to wrestle you, your dream match, who would this lady be?
Trish Stratus.
Trish Stratus. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. That's a heck of a payday right there.
But I mean, that's who I grew up on watching, and they made me want to become a female wrestler. So, like, when I think of wrestling, that's who the first people that come to my mind because, they started a lot, or they paved the road for women's wrestling for a long time.
Right. Look, the barbecue man says she's a great heel, and then he's back and he says cheat early and cheat often.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Women's wrestling is at a whole nother level now than it's ever been. So talk to me about, I mean, you're kind of, right now, you're kind of in your prime in the middle of women's wrestling when it's at the biggest it's ever been in the history of wrestling. So talk to me about being involved in the scene now.
I feel like women have a lot more opportunities. They don't just look at you as like, a boy toy or a playboy or whatever. I feel like people actually think, oh, well, maybe she does got talent. Like maybe she's not out here to show her butt, show her boobs, or show off her body, and have a girl fight. Because, when people think girl fight, they think hair pulling. They think like eye raking, bra and panties, stuff like that. And nowadays, women can wrestle just as good as the men. And hey, sometimes better. Which is fine, and that's okay. It's a sport. Everybody should be able to be good at what they like to do.
Right.
but definitely coming from like old school, being brought up that way. There was a lot of places I wanted to go and I couldn't go just because, hey, I was a woman, or hey, I was a girl, and you know that's not allowed back here. Mainly because if a girl was in the locker room, you know, men have wives. They automatically assume, hey, you know, it wasn't like it was a sport for girls to be involved in because there was a bunch of men doing it.
Right. It's been a boys' club for years and years. I mean, I feel like Sherry Martell for me was the first woman. I feel like she is the predecessor to all of the modern women's wrestling where we are today, because the thing, when I was a little kid, women's wrestling was different. A lot of times they even did like the Mexicans do. They worked the right side of the body to be different than the men. They didn't want, I don't know if it was the men promoters didn't want the women to look like they were on the same level as the guys, or what the actual deal is, but they differentiated it in different ways. And Sherry was the first lady for me that come along, man, that even before her, I always thought watching women's wrestling, man, you know, I think this would be so much better if they wrestled like the men.
Men, yeah. And I mean, girls want to do the same things guys do too. I mean, it's not just there's baseball, there's softball. I mean, I like to play football. I never could play football, but I mean, if we were the neighborhood kids are out playing football, hey, I wasn't going to go hit with the girls. I was going to go play football with boys. And I feel like that was more of a thing for me. Like they look like they're having fun. I want to have fun like that.
Right. So let's kind of backtrack a little bit. We're gonna start kind of wrapping it up. But one thing I want to discuss with you. You mentioned one of the lady wrestlers earlier that said she left to have a kid. Okay, talk to me about that, because you've been in the same situation. How was it to be wrestling and then get pregnant, have a kid on the way? Was it hard to step away from the ring during that time, or kind of give me your perspective on how that is for women?
I think it is hard just because wrestling to me lets a lot of my emotions out. I mean, there ain't nowhere else I can go and just like beat up somebody and be okay with it.
Not go to jail.
But it lets out all my emotions, and it makes me feel like no matter what's going on in my real life, it's totally different from wrestling, the wrestling world. Like, it don't matter who I am behind closed doors, but when I walk through that curtain, I'm a totally different person. Like, it don't matter if I just lost my dog or if somebody just passed away. Like, I'm not carrying that stress and weight on my shoulders. Like, I can go to wrestling and just relieve all that. I mean, I personally know that I'm relieving it all. Everybody else don't, because it's like a lifting up a blind and closing it shut. I mean, I'm light. But when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, I actually was supposed to go wrestle my brother, and I already knew I felt weird anyways. I mean, I just felt weird. I don't know how to explain that. And I was like, well, if I take this pregnancy test this morning, I won't go wrestle. But it's going to hurt my heart if I am and I can't go wrestle. Well, it's wind up being negative, so I went and wrestled. And then literally Monday morning, it popped a positive pregnancy test, and I was like, well, crap. And my past life, it's not the best. It's just a rough patch, not for myself, just for the fact of what kind of life I was living and who with. So when wrestling was taken away from me, it felt like everything was taken away from me. Like, I didn't have my brothers or sisters to lean on because I had nobody to talk to. Like, here I am just carrying a baby, 9 months along. And I didn't want, once I had my child, I didn't want to go right back into wrestling because I was like, well, she's got to go everywhere I go. I'm not leaving her at home, and it's going to be super loud. Like, I had to put everything into play. But I sat there on the sideline for the longest time, and I was like, well, maybe this is it. Maybe I should just stop altogether. And then I wound up going back, which was a while later. And then I wound up pregnant again with my little boy, which was a total shocker. And I was just like, well, here we go again. I already knew what to expect. And except that time, like, after I had him, there was a roadblock. Like, you're not going back to wrestling. You're not doing that. You have 2 kids. Like, you shouldn't do that. But life happened, and I wound up back where I belonged because I felt like I mean, some people take medicine for anxiety and depression and all that, and everybody has a certain way to let go of their emotions. Well, mine is wrestling, and I feel like if it wasn't for that, I would probably have a lot of pent up anger and, just be a miserable person. But if I'm a miserable person, nobody's going to like me. So,
yeah, and that's the thing about wrestling, man. It's when you're out there, man, it's the highest high you can be, and when it's over, it is a major stress reliever. No matter what, like you said, no matter really what's going on in your life, once you're in that ring and that bell rings for those 5, 10, 15 minutes, every bit of that just fades away, and you're caught up in the moment. And the best stress reliever in history. There's no drugs, there's no anything that can even come close to it.
right. I definitely agree. I'd probably say wrestling probably saved my life a few times.
So your kids are older now, and I see y'all's kids at the shows all the time. They love it. Talk to me about how it is for the kids to be old enough now to kind of appreciate what you guys do.
Well, if you're wondering, we have 2 boys and we have a trampoline. So they literally do wrestling moves to each other on the trampoline. Like, we have to sometimes make them go out there and be like, hey, you're being too rough. You can't be doing that. And they're like, but we're training. And we're like, well, there's not somebody out here to watch you. If something happens, it could be a problem. You got to be careful because, you can't just go out there and do it and think it's okay. So I don't know. One afternoon, the boys were outside playing, and hold on a second. Drop it down. Maybe not. One time, the boys were outside playing, and they were like, "Look, we can do a power bomb. Look, we can do the John Cena move." And I was like, "What?" And they literally did it, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." Like, I don't even know how to react. And then literally, I don't know, it's probably been a couple weeks ago, my daughter said, weren't you 14 when you started refereeing? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, so does that mean when I turn 14, I can start refereeing and then you can train me? And then when I'm 18, I can wrestle and be a mini version of you? And I was like, so I feel like we probably might have a wrestler out of one of the kids, whether we do for sure or not. I don't know. I tell them all the time, you can be anybody you want to be. You got, right. It's choices in your hands. You can't let nobody make that decision for you, because their dad don't like wrestling, and they tell them all the time that they can't be a wrestler. And I just encourage them, like, you can be anything you want to be. Like, if you want to go to school, you can go to school. I was like, you can literally be anything. It's all in your hands. Like, whatever you want out of life, go get it. Don't stop until you get what you want.
Right. And that's the way it should be, man. Look, I ain't one to push stuff on my kids, but, I'm going to support whatever they want to do. Whatever they want to do or be or try. And that's all you can do.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
And look, let me ask you this. How many times you catch Payne out there with the boys practicing new moves on them? Tell the truth now. I know he does it.
It's funny because they'll be like, get on the trampoline with me. And then sooner or later, we're both on the trampoline with them.
Well, girl, it's been a blast. I'm working on getting more ladies on the podcast. I got all the dudes in the world, man, but I really enjoy talking to you gals because it's a different perspective.
It is.
And I like getting that different point of view. And men and women have a different emotional setups too. So I'm liable to look at the same thing. We're liable to look at the same thing, and I look at it emotionally a different way than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Always a blast, girl. I appreciate you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Girl, you're always welcome, man. Always. And I hope you get that Premier Pro women's title back soon.
Maybe, hopefully.
There you go. All right, girl. You and Payne and the family, y'all have a great night. And I'll see y'all soon.
All right. Bye, Buster.
All right, y'all, you seen it right there. The $1 Million Baby, one of the top ladies around our area. If you get a chance to go see her anywhere, go do it. Premier Pro Wrestling, the Dyer Fire Department, once a month in Dyer, Tennessee. Probably the best show around our area. Probably not even probably, I'm going to say it, it's the best show around our area. Without a doubt, you want to see good wrestling, you want to see good action, you want to see great talent, go check out Premier Pro. You can catch $1 Million Baby there, you can catch T-Pain there. You can catch all these other stars from all over the place. Not just local guys, they bring in talent from everywhere. Everybody, I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. We're back this Sunday night at 7 p.m. I got Alan Steele. The show was booked once before and we had to cancel it. It's been rescheduled, and this Sunday night's the night. I appreciate everybody. Be sure to tune in to Buster Unmasked Sunday night, 7 p.m. for Alan Steele. It's one you don't want to miss, and y'all have a great night.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're with my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.